Hello everybody, welcome back to another Woodworking Wisdom. A nice little quick one today. We are looking at pyrography, but maybe doing it on some different materials. So we're not burning on wood today, we've got a little paper project. And like I say, we're just going to have a quick look at this, make a nice little project, and we're going to lay out some patterns and stuff as well. So a couple of interesting things to regard, associated with pyrography. So we're using different materials, and down on the bench here, or on my table, I've just started my project. So this is going to be a little box, and I've just printed off a cube shape from Google. It's got a few little tabs on it, but it's basically the shape of a cross. Six-sided, as like a dice. So we've got 6 squares, and I've just laid out a really simple pattern, and I'm going to show you how we do that. So first job, each of these squares is 50 mil on all sides. So we're just marking off at 25 mil, which would give us a halfway point on each of these lines. Now, really simple, we're just going to join those together, and if you see this pattern, it should, if we've got it right, follow the line on the previous pattern. So we're just joining the dots. We've marked halfway, which was 25 mil on this cube, and obviously you could scale this up and down. So 25 mil is our halfway point. We're just marking off these diagonals, and then we're going to cross from corner to corner on the big square, and this is going to give us a series of smaller squares in which we can put our pattern. So there we go, we've done the marking out. I've got my pyrography pen here. We've got the ANTEX fire writer. So I'm just switching that one on. A couple of seconds to heat it up. And I've gone for a round wire with this one. I find it's given me a slightly bigger line, slightly chunkier, and it's also given me this kind of lovely texture that we're getting in the paper. And we're going for that. We're not going for super clean lines on this one. If I wanted something really clean, I would go with a sharp point, but be really careful on the pressure as we're working. So we're really just going over this line and burning this in. And I'm not being too worried about any of that kind of blobbing we sometimes get. Again, I want that to be part of the texture. So just increasing the heat. With most pyrography projects, I like to, when you first get going, it's worth just having that heat, a little lower, and you can see how the material kind of reacts to it on the first few strokes, and then you can adjust it to suit. So just coming down, covering up these pencil lines with the pyrography. And just kind of filling in this cross pattern. Again, I'm going to bring the heat up a bit more so we can work a little bit faster. And it's giving me a little bit of a scorch where I first touched on. So I can just blow on that hot element, and when I touch on, then we won't get that initial scorch. Good. And I'm just going to go along this fold line here, and then we can start to put our pattern on. So this is going to be a box, so it's going to fold up, and I want this pattern. You see these almost kind of chevron shapes? They all want to be pointing up. So as I've gone around and put this pattern in, I've considered that, and we can just burn those lines in. The chevrons are pointing up towards the kind of opening of the box, if you will. So a really simple design, this one. This is just 3 little triangles or chevrons pointing up. And then that way, when the box comes together, your design kind of all works with the other's faces. So as you turn the box, it all looks right and everything's in its place. So consider that when you're laying out a pattern like this. Like I say, this is a really simple one because we want to keep things a bit quicker today. And I'm burning on paper here, but there's lots of materials you can burn on. Things like cork. So I've got a cork placemat here. We use these to put our plants on, but you could, burn whatever you like in there. Again, drop the temperature. Start off cooler and see how the material's reacting to your burn. And I'm not trying to be too fussy or neat with this. I quite like the fact that it's a burn. Gives a bit of texture to the surface anyway. And I quite like the fact that it's not completely uniform. It gives it a kind of rustic look, which I really like. So this would be a little lidded box, and I've gone with this is the paper that we used when we did our lino cuts, our lino prints. So it's a heavy gauge paper. Underneath here I've got just a normal white paper, and you can burn on that, and you can see we get a really nice kind of clean line on that one. Actually, if we just stay on that camera a moment, let's just come in a bit closer so you can see the texture on here. Great. I'll just shuffle it along a little bit so we're in view. So you can see on this textured paper we're getting these little bumps and burns, which I really like. On this, your kind of A4 printer paper, you're going to get a lot more of a clean line. So the texture of this paper really gives it something, elevates it. And because this is going to be a little functional box, a little kind of keepsake box, we just want to make it from material just slightly sturdier than that kind of printer paper. So what have we got left to do? So we've got some lines here. These are just coming straight from that line on the edge and coming down, but it's quite easy sometimes to forget these little side ones. Same here. And each time I start a new square, just have a look where it sits next to another one, because it is quite easy on these repetitive patterns to start dropping lines in the wrong box. And then up on the edges here we should have just a couple of little lines so it looks like that pattern's kind of going off. We can use these ones as a guide to where they should sit. So following that line up there and burning that little line, and this all is kind of at 90 degrees to one another. So where you haven't got that visual clue this way, we're just drawing a line at 90 degrees there. Okay, so that's our pattern pretty much on. Our box I've scored, so that went face down, and I've just used a piece of a little piece of timber that we found, a little bit of a kind of scrappy side bit, and I've just sanded that on the disc sander, and they're giving me not sharp but a point on it. Okay, so we've had a big bit of sun come in. It's first thing in the morning here, so we just had the sun come in. It's making the cameras look really dark. Okay, so like I say, I've scored this, so I've used a rule, a metal rule, and my little scoring tool. I think they call these a bone fold, and just run along each of these lines, and that's quite important to score these. You want them to fold nicely on their lines and not snap along here. Sometimes if you just fold the piece of paper, sometimes it will kind of crinkle, and sometimes it will break out along this edge. And you might find that the pyrography causes it to do that a little. I've just noticed a line here, and that will bug me if we don't put that in. So just putting that little line in there. Everything's nicely scored, and then really all we're going to do is to fold these tabs in, bring each of these squares up, and I like to sort of bend them past the point, and then they kind of relax back to that 90 degrees. And there we go. Just fold each of these tabs in. And then we've got a little box, and we can, you need to glue these sides first, but it will have a lid that kind of closes and slots in, and we've got a really nice little kind of keepsake box there. Obviously you want a couple of spots of glue on that. I've left the bottom plain, but you could always bring this pattern in and make these full squares as they come in. And also a nice little idea might be to get something like some origami paper. So we've got some funky patterns on this origami, or any kind of printed paper really, or you could put someone's photo in the bottom or in the lid. That could look really pretty. Okay. And yeah, you can get all sorts of different patterns if you want something really kind of colourful and punchy in there. This will, it is the right size to be able to take this kind of 50mm cube. So an origami paper is a really nice decorative way to kind of line the box if you wanted to do that. Okay, so like I say, quick one today. Just showing you a couple of different materials that we can burn on. Obviously we've done paper for this one, but have a go at using cork. Leather is also a great one to do if you wanted to have a go at bookmarks, to personalizing things. So really it's just an invitation to get you guys thinking about using different materials, and not, we're not having to hem ourselves in with timber on when it comes to pyrography. You can use it on lots of different materials. So like I say, quick one today, but join us again soon with this great free content coming from Axminster with our woodworking wisdom. We'll see you soon.